interesting one to look at for next month because it's what like double inside month.
Yep.
It's just been trapped for so long, whereas like all the other uh, Mag 7 stocks have been flying. Apple's just been dizzle stuck in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. FedEx is also a double inside month. It's trying to reclaim a yearly low.
Yeah. Um, yep.
All right, I think I've got the recording working. Someone say hello quick.
Hello,
Hello.
quick.
Hey,
Hello.
thanks, Murray. You guys are awesome. You guys are so fun. Okay, it looks like it's working. Cool.
All right, good.
I saw your note on FedEx and SE. SE looks good.
Yeah,
Outside week.
I gotta check the things like volume on the options and stuff like that because it's not a big name.
That's a nice broadening formation. It's got room
Yeah, I
at
like
the
the
top.
broadening information on SC if you're looking on the weekly though. It's like just tap the bottom and now we're headed
Yep,
back up.
yeah.
Maybe 3-2 continuation upwards.
132 expansion to the upside. Gonna put an alert
You
on
know,
that.
I want to say something because I was sort of looking through some of the free chat over the weekend, and I really like what I'm seeing. How the two up, the 1-2 up, or the 1-2 down. There's a good thing to do, at least on the one and then two down, but ending green. If that two down has actually taken out the low prior to the one, that's even better news in my mind.
I agree. That's a proper
Yeah.
rev strat. When it doesn't take out the low prior to the one, Alex
Yep.
gave that the nickname soft rev strat, right?
Okay.
Now, you know,
I think Rob discussed that too. Soft rev
yeah,
trend.
yeah.
It's not as strong, but it still works.
Although Cardillion and I might have a different opinion on that now. We've been exploring this idea that sometimes if these lows are not weak enough, or I guess strong enough to take out the low. So let's say you've got the 1-2 rev strat. If it doesn't take out the low of the bar prior to the one, that you've actually got relative
Mm-hmm.
strength and that it can, you know, push faster.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah, that may well be.
I see like a lot of, for example, with ICT or some other trading styles where they look at all the indexes and then, on that when the market's in a bearish trend, right, they look at which of the three indexes or four indexes um, can hit a target low, and whichever one doesn't hit that target low, then that's like the index of interest when suddenly the market turns from bearish to bullish. I mean, just something interesting to note.
Cool. I saw the McDonald's chart for the week. So I've got a new scanner that I'm using, and it pulled up McDonald's two down in green on the week, but the month is
Yeah,
still red, but it's taken out a key sort of pivot point that's
Yes, I did.
previous, right?
yeah, and you've
So,
got the two.
I'm actually really upset with myself on that because I had it going south and I got tired of it, and so I cut it, and then of course it hits the target and reverses exactly what my plan was. So
yeah, I saw
I think that's a great one.
Yeah, I see it too. Um, so when you scan Salon, are you using TOS by chance or something else?
I'm using something else. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be overly cryptic, but I've been fiddling with coding, and so yeah, I'm just trying to make my
Okay.
life a
I
little
mean,
bit easier.
yeah, I've been using TOS and I think it's pretty cool
Yep.
because that one popped up on my scanner too when I was looking for like two down and green on the week, or and then along with other things like McDonald's was there, Airbnb, like
Yeah.
some other Chime and other things.
So I've also
Um,
looked at some of the outside bar scanners or scans rather. Um, I don't mind playing the expansion of those. So like UAL, for example, came up on the outside week scanner. Um, Let me get that.
do we want to just like everyone bring up a ticker and we could
Yeah, we
talk
can do
about it
that.
for the
Sure.
beginning session? Yeah.
Fire away. And I'm gonna jot
I like let's see here,
Hi
Airbnb.
guys. Oh, sorry. Just really quickly, I'm on my phone and I can't figure out how to chat. So if I could just throw in, whenever you get a chance, KMI for the upside,
Yep.
then I'm just going to mute myself. Start there. So I didn't mean to cut off whoever was talking. I couldn't figure out how to put it in the chat because my computer Discord's not working. Okay, I'll
KMI.
shut up now.
KMI.
I guess we could start with KMI.
Sure.
I want to do Airbnb, but KMI is fine too.
I don't know. What is that ticker? I don't know it.
Kinder
Kinder
Morgan.
Kinder Morgan is an oil and gas pipeline
Oh.
like category.
We have the largest in the U.S. Oh, okay. And the monthly triggered off. The monthly was showing, I think last week. I don't know when the monthly or the weekly was showing. There was a
Yeah,
trigger.
yeah.
And there's
So
huge orders on the call side.
yeah, so looking with the strat at least for KMIs, you see like I mean on the monthly it's in force, but we only have a day left on the month, and it's already hit two targets at least on the monthly in terms of magnitude. On the weekly, you got 212 hit the magnitude. Um, Possibly there might be continuation to get that gap fill on the weekly, or just hit the gap fill there. Um, but my only concern was that even though it's very bullish, and you can see that on the daily moving averages, there's a risk of exhaustion risk as well as um, just getting a little bit overextended. And that's what I see at least.
I do see a gap above though, so there's that.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
mind that idea.
yeah. The time to get into it was probably last week on the 222 rev on the week, I'd say. Just be a little bit reluctant now to get into it just because we've hit so many targets on the way up, but there is a little bit of juice for that gap fill for sure.
Thank you.
Blue Moon, what did you have?
I had a couple, but the one I was looking at for next week is possibly Airbnb,
Yep.
Airbnb. Yeah.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, you see on the month. I mean, I'm not gonna mention too much on the month just because we only have like a day left of it, but possibly 2-2 continuation up on the month. On the week, you've got a 2-2-2 rev set up. On the day, you've got had a double three followed by on Friday you had a um, two up hammer forming looks like,
Yep.
and you got
Closed at the highs
targets up
too.
there. Yeah, you got, and then you look on the week, you've got kind of a nice broadening formation from the bottom to
Yep.
fill that top, the PMG
Yep.
basically. So I like Airbnb.
Oh, I like that a lot. Good find.
Yes, I like that too. I like how it took out the low from the June 2nd. I like that.
Yeah.
So you want to play the week signal, or are you going to wait for the month to go?
Um, I mean the month's a little bit hard to find that trigger up there. I think I would play it. I like the week and the day, because if you have it on the day, the hammer, and then
Yeah. Yes.
that's going to trigger the week immediately, and then you've got pretty much a whole bunch of these targets to the upside. Um, so off the day and the week, I guess. But that's one I'd like to look at for maybe Monday.
Okay.
I guess another one ticker I looked at was on my list is ELF, ELF. ELF.
Oh yeah, that came up for me as well.
Yep. So with ELF, I like it because it's very close to triggering for the month, and then on the week you've got the 122 rev strat. On the day you've got a 212 to the upside possibly. Um, Yesterday or Friday was an inside bar, but it's almost like a hammer looking.
If you draw your broadening formations on the month, it came off of there, the low being in April low, and then really strong May, continuing June. See what happens. It's got a nice build up back.
Yeah, yeah. It's also above. I like to mention the moving averages, but it's above like yeah, on the month you've got the yearly 12 MA.
Mm.
But yeah, obvious targets. I guess you can see them on the month as well as the week. There's a lot of good ones up there. Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
So here's one of the things that I've been playing with recently, which is if you get a strong trend like you see here on the weekly on ELF, and then you get an inside down, a reclaim of the low is actually your most aggressive entry, right? And that would have put it at like 116.87, for a potential 3 week outside week. So we ran out of time. So you're going to get your compound, hopefully compound outside week, and then targets up to what's that? 130.67. So it's got 4 and change um, distance. Where's my measuring tool? So you've got what, about almost 3% of magnitude for the week. I like it.
Nice. Um,
Which strike would you take?
for Elf.
Yep. You playing the week or you playing the month? What are you doing?
Let's see if I were to take a. Let me see here on the week. Depends on if you want to be like a little frisky and go out of the money, or if you want to be a little bit more conservative. But on the week, if it triggers, I think obvious target you see is 130.67. Um,
Which expiration are you looking at?
if you want to play it like just on next week, you could do that. Otherwise, I would say you could go like 2 weeks out maybe, or even if you want to play it longer. Um,
Yeah, I mean some of these are I'm looking like just 1 week out and just one out of the money. That's a huge spread.
yeah, plus next week is only 3 days, right? Or 4 days, because of
4 days. That's right. That's true. Really good thing to keep reminding everybody. Um, that's true.
realistically, you can buy a couple contracts. I'd say very safe, somewhat like a good, what do you call it? You want to be safe, but you also want to get some money out of it. I don't know what the word is. I'm trying to think of. It's probably
Edge.
like, yeah, around 128, because around 128 you probably hit that. Now whether you actually go the magnitude next week, that's debatable. And if you just want to be ultra conservative, you just go in the money. Like as soon as you hit the right at your marker around 127 strike, that would just be, if you want to be very conservative. So that way, if it goes against you, you're not losing like 50, 60, something crazy.
So let's say you take the trigger on the inside day up to trigger the 222 week, or sorry, the
Okay.
122 week rather. Um, what would you use as your risk management for that? Like, at what point does the
Invalidation.
yeah, what's your invalidation?
Um, I mean, so I'd probably, I mean, obviously if I get in on the, it depends on what's, where you get in. If you're gonna get in right on the day, or if you're gonna use like an actionable signal in the 30s and 60s. Um, if you're gonna use the daily trigger, then and it goes, peaks up above, then I'd say if it comes back down and goes red on the day, that would be like immediately for me a red flag. And then, but I would still watch the ticker at that point. Now, once it goes 2-1-2, if it goes like a 3 down on the day, like after going 2 up on the day, then that would be where I'm a little bit, at that point you poke up, you create the 2 up, but then you fake everyone out, and now it's possible that it wants to go all the way back down and make a 3 to the downside on the week. Um, so to answer your question, I would say if you got in the trade on the day, right, it pokes up, triggers a 2 up, then as soon as it goes below your trigger, that would be my first like indication of maybe I should cut or get out. And then once the day goes red, that's like, the big red flag to get out,
Yep. Okay.
I'd say. But I mean, at that point, you're still watching it because it still could come back. But definitely, once it goes 2-1 or 2-1-3 down, that would be on the day. That's when I get scared
Cool.
and probably be like, maybe take the trade to the downside, something like that.
There's a bull there in the day. You see that, right?
Right.
Cool. Can we look at another one now?
Yep.
Anyone else got one? I'll throw Zoom out
I
there.
mean, I've got a bunch. I don't want to hog
No,
the
please
stream. So,
do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
bros, bros.
Bros.
Yep. I think we're doing the same scan.
Maria, yeah. I mean, are you using that? I mean, I did. I saw that the Alex's and Sarah scanner was pretty pricey, so it's like, and I really enjoyed using their free trial. So then someone told me, hey, Toss is really good. Here's a link with all the scripts that are imaginable. So I just took that and I basically made one scan for 2 up in red, 2
Yeah,
down in green, inside
it's not hard
bar.
to do. And
Yeah, it's not.
you know that on the little right-hand side gear, you can set it to alert you when it happens.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Arduino was asking for like a 4-hour trigger. It's like you can. I mean, I don't know what you're using. You can do that.
yeah. I am playing around with like how strict I want to be at looking tickers. So I'll do like average volume over 2 million, has weekly
Mm-hmm.
options, so days expiration 5, and then ATR greater than 2.5. Just
Yep.
because I want a balance of like I don't want to have 100 tickers to scroll through, and some of them are just like junk, $5
Right.
stocks or something. But yeah,
I do like the PMG up here on Bros. Once we get above previous week high, that's a nice
yeah,
PMG setup on the daily. And
yeah.
I actually had this from before this particular line. So, it created the broadening formation, came down, retested this area. It wasn't weak enough to take out these lows here. And then we got a higher low on the daily. And so, yeah, this is,
Looks
I
pretty
mean,
good. Yeah,
it doesn't look like it moves a heck of a lot. So, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I, I thought the same thing you did, that it wasn't gonna move a lot, but I took this trade. I mean, I took a trade to the upside back in like May, June, the beginning of June, when that like 2-1-2 went to the upside and like just spiked up there. I didn't have the gall or the balls to kind of take the trade back down and take out all those pivots to the downside. But yeah, you think it doesn't move that much, but just based off of ATR and it actually is one that showed up in my screen. So, you know,
Cool. You got another one?
um, this one's more of a like not as confident, but I just want to get your guys' opinion on it. It's UNH.
I don't know. When can we just try? They call me, I'm serious.
Do you think his trial like notes or like what do you call highlights of his trial or certain things in his trial are gonna affect the price of the stock? I feel like
I don't know. I feel like people like cop in. Like, are you looking at that chart? It's doing here. You know,
yeah, I'm looking
that's inside
at the
money.
chart,
That's
but
probably.
I mean that drop in the stock price. I don't think it's because of Luigi. I think it was a compound of like bad earnings and then also like Department of was it Department of Justice or some kind of like they're getting investigated for some kind of like Medicare related fraud.
Yeah.
And then in
Mm-hmm.
general, like Medicare reimbursements are lower, so it's hitting a lot of not just these guys, but all the insurers as well.
Well, I think we've got a nice inside month on that. We could take it either way for lots of mag. So
Yeah, well, inside month, and then on the week you got a 2, 2 to the upside possibility, but in reality it's been trading within a small, I mean, quote unquote, small range for a
oh
couple
yeah.
of weeks
Mm-hmm.
now. Yeah, so that's just one that kind of get your guys' opinion because there's a setup on the week, but if you zoom out, it's like, is it going to actually move somewhere, or is it just going to stay within a range?
So my take on that is kind of like if you look at SPY on that tariff week, right? Like where was that? Let's go back to that. Was it that
Uh,
or was it the day? I think it was the day.
April 7th.
It was in the daily chart. So if you look at SPY on the daily chart, we had that crazy and so what I wanted to talk about was the idea of the mother bar on the UNH weekly chart, right? So on SPY we had this crazy mother bar on that, day when Trump says, okay, buy stocks. So we got stuck inside that mother bar for, I don't know, what is this? Probably what, 10 days? And if you were playing by that rule of don't play inside mother bars, you would have missed this obvious low here, right? Lower low.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's an internal broadening formation inside the mother bar. Essentially it reclaims this low. So a version of that idea of, and even the Tesla, sorry, the Elon Musk Trump breakup day, right, caused a huge mother bar. Um, so just Mike has a fantastic strategy, which is just play like, I'm not saying ignore the mother bar on UNH, but there's lots of price action that you can play within this weekly mother bar that
Yeah.
allows you, tons of range. So assume that that mother bar on the week isn't really what we're guiding on. Then just look at the daily chart and see, okay, well, do you get, or even the weekly chart, and you've got a nice RevStrat set up here. And so you could take this RevStrat week to target 318.80. And so that is, what's the magnitude on that move? That is like, 6 point, or sorry, 2.7%. It's not terrible. I don't know how those options move, but
Yeah.
it's good.
Cool, cool, thanks.
Um, I found Zoom and actually UNH came up on my two down green scanner as well. So
Oh, I
Zoom
like Zoom.
is sort of week and day against the month. The month is still red, so we don't have full time frame continuity, but you can see this broadening formation here on the daily.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So if this does start to get some legs, we can see this RevStrat work and then come up into this PMG on the daily above. So that would be an expansion of the broadening formation to come up higher up. So this one's on my radar as well.
Yeah, this one looks pretty good. Yeah, it doesn't have full time frame continuity, but I mean that's
No.
something I'm a little bit less, I'm a little bit less, more
Um
disregarding just because we're so close to the next quarter and the
yeah,
month.
so
Um,
I'm willing to overlook the full time frame continuity only for one reason is because it's already reclaimed the previous month's lows, right?
yeah,
So if this weekly setup kind of works, or sorry, and starts to go, then what that would mean for July is you would have green timeframe continuity starting then, which could potentially trigger the two up, two down, two up month,
Yep,
right? But it's
yep.
got to
That's
start
that's
somewhere.
that's exactly what I was going to mention. Is that yeah, if this works, right, then yeah, you can create the possibility of the 222 on the month.
Right.
And if you zoom out to the quarter as well,
Yep.
the quarter you've got a PMG to the top side too if this works. Like a 122
Right.
And see how
quarter.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, and that took out the previous, like, before the ones.
Right.
Oh, you see that on the quarter?
Yep. You see the broadening formation
Yep.
forming. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great one. If you want to go out and get something like a 60, 90, 120 day um, to today's expiration call option or something and just let it sit. Um, or if you just want to play it to the upside on the weekly, you know, good too.
For me, this one is because it might take a while to get where I want to go. So for me, this is a common. It's like just go ahead and get in. This
Right.
is that looks great. I mean,
Cool. Uh, this one's no good.
I have one.
Go ahead.
What I have two actually that I wanted to look at,
Sure.
and one of them is it's really for you to give me your opinion on this Oracle. Um, so I've got Oracle, but I've got it. It's a top of broadening formation. Look at it on the week. Huge bar 1, 3.
Yep.
And so now it's like it could go any which way. My one thing is there is a gap on the tape, which is what gives
Oh, you
me
see it down below.
always,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, that always gives me pause. And then it's like, well, just set alert there and get in and hits it. But I just don't know. It's right up there. Um, you know, just,
Are you saying that you want to play to the downside to get the gap and then wait it out,
no,
or you want to play it up to catch up?
I want the upside, but it's that gap just like it just holds me back. It's like I have like a kind of a checklist, and that is in violation. I mean, that often happens, and I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot. Uh,
I mean, I
but it's
like
just
the idea of taking it up. I would say, but yeah, I like the idea of taking it up, and I think that gap is going to get filled. I don't know if it's going to be next week or very soon. But I mean, I'm looking at the moving averages as well, and it's very close to the 10-day moving average. If it were to just, pop down there, that'd be a very nice level of interest, I'd say. What happens once it hits the gap? Is it going to continue going down, or if it's going to make a higher low? Um, but Oracle right now is showing a lot of strength, so it's something interesting.
So I actually played this one last week. Um,
okay.
and what I did was I saw the inside week, and then we had this two down green hammer reclaiming that inside week. So I was playing it from Monday for a potential outside week. I ended up getting it, and then
Nice.
closed my position on that Tuesday. So it was like a Monday Tuesday kind of strat attack
Mm-hmm.
play, and then once it got exhaustion, you know we got to exhaustion risk up here, and then came down. So yeah, this 2-day trade here was gangster. It was good.
Nice.
I like the one
Yeah.
three. Now, we've got this broadening formation on the daily. So how do we play that? And if you look real closely at the daily, you can see it took out the low of the day prior to the one, and then it's kind of right there now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with it coming down to this little gap here on the daily if it potentially comes down, but I'd want to see how price responds to that gap if it goes that way. I personally, I think this would look really cool if it was a 132 up to keep going. So,
Yeah.
as a
I
measured
mean,
move, this is fantastic.
132 up. I mean,
So this is good.
I was gonna say it would look. I would say the setup would look pretty good on the day if it goes 1-3-2 down and green hammer.
Mm.
Then
So a
I'd be
three
like,
two
ooh,
two.
and exactly. And then let's say that two down like fills the gap, and then but then as soon as it fills the gap, it gets bought up, and then it becomes a green hammer at that point. Then I'd be like, wow, this looks good to the upside.
Yep. Good levels there. What's
Yeah.
the other one?
So I'm not usually I don't usually play the expanding routing formation, but they keep coming into play. So yeah, I gotta get good at it. I just have to start recognizing them.
Yep.
Yep.
So for something like this, that's where I'm saying I throw the foot on it.
Yep.
In which case, like I play longer term, it wouldn't be a day trade for me. It would be, monthly, and I'm looking at 240.19.
Yep.
Cool.
Um, I've got a ticker that I've never traded before, but popped up on my list. It's Well, WELL.
WELL.
This would be to the downside, but I've never seen this ticker before, but it looks like an interesting setup, I guess, to the downside. But
These are monthlies, right?
yeah, I think so.
So a two up red month, potentially going RevStrut on the month, a shooter week. I mean, that's a good looking broadening formation on the daily, right? Something like this. So do we have enough to come back, enough weakness to come back through this? That'd be cool. Inside day. So this is a good domino trade, right? Inside day to trigger the 2-2 week off the top of this broadening formation here. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Why do you like it?
Never traded it before, but I will absolutely track it. Invalidation on this.
Let's see if it kind of like what I said before on ELF, but the exact opposite. Like if you take the
Mm,
signal on the day to go 3-1-2 down, obviously you want it to stay red. And so if it comes back above your signal to go short, or if it turns the day from um, red to green, then you might be concerned it could go back
yeah.
right the other side or go back to the other side.
Here's a really easy way I'd look at the invalidation on this for the week is you've got an outside day just before, right, on the Thursday. So if it reclaims the low of that, then you're coming back through a broadening formation, right? Potentially. So
Yeah, yeah,
so
exactly.
you could look at that on a lower time frame and just mark like the low of this three here, right? So if we trigger and then start to reclaim, then you can say, okay, well this broadening formation now could be potentially a 3-1-2 rev strat to come back up, right?
Yeah, or even like a failed two down becoming a three. Exactly. Yeah.
Right, right. That's a good look. Maria, you
I've
had
got
one
another
other?
interesting one. Oh, go ahead, Maria. Yeah, yeah, forgot.
No, I'm just saying, but this isn't. It's not for Monday. It's at least Tuesday, Wednesday, and for longer term is FedEx, just because of the inside months.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
double
let's look
inside
at
month.
FedEx.
I
That's
like it.
fine. FedEx. Um,
So
okay,
I
you
saw it
definitely
in
have.
your post
Yep.
in the chat that you said Tuesday, Wednesday, right? I'm looking at
Yeah,
this thinking, if it's a 1-3-2 week up, I mean, I'll
Did that
I'd
get
be
up?
okay taking this long. just on the 3-2 expansion of the week to target, this would be, well, geez, nope, this would be your first target up here, right? And then you are coming back through a broadening formation here, right? This outside week, so
Yeah.
targets up there as well. And then what does that do? Is it'll
So
probably trigger the inside month up.
yeah,
This broadening
it's
formation.
so just I drew like an actual signal window on the year, and so I feel a lot better about this going up as long as it stays above the 2024 low, which is 234.45. So I've got that little shaded area on my screen, and so that's when I'm really going to know, okay, it's for real.
Yep. And actually, previous year low could easily trigger this week even, or invalidate rather,
Yep.
right? So if you were short from the yearly signal, which is the 2 up, 2 down, technically it's still in force, 2 down in red on the year, but now you're coming back to the trigger, and it's yeah. And actually, so the other cool thing is starting Tuesday, right? We get a new quarter, so you could potentially have time frame continuity back, green right down to the or right yeah right up sorry right up to the quarter. You can have a green quarter month weekday.
Right.
Clarky, Blue Maroon, you've got a couple
Um,
good ones popping.
AMT,
Which one?
AMT,
AMT,
American Tower.
American Tower. I've loved trading this in the past. These options move so well, but we got caught in this crappy sort of I don't know, inside year sort of situation. It hasn't been great, but this ticker definitely does, and I love this setup. The 2-2, sorry, yeah, on the shooter month or shooter week rather, coming back through a weekly 3. That's cool. Inside day, some good pivots
Double
here.
inside month.
Yeah.
Yep, double inside one. Yep.
So you would be, if you played the shooter week, you would be going against the month, but if the magnitude hits, then you would negate the month to red, but it's not going to happen probably in a day. But who knows? It might. It might. You could also think of this as a as 3 week double inside month and up. Like if this shooter gets bought, like we've been seeing, so like you have an inside day green, so the continuity, and then there's a PMG sort of situation up here as well in the daily.
Always ready for your next adventure.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's just how you around these parts. So that's a monthly as well.
Yeah.
That's just how
Um, I guess they could cost go to the downside.
Hey, Slow Spoke, if you've got some tickers to share, go ahead. We've got your mic on right now, so we're hearing some background noise. But if you're not intending on chatting, then just mute your mic. Please.
Sorry about that.
No worries. This is open for everybody, so if you want to chat, go
I mean,
ahead.
this is quite possibly a down. It's hard to say. Um,
Yeah, Costco is the one we're talking about.
yeah.
Costco?
I mean, it's a 3 down month, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to resolve by Tuesday. So that, as you say, Solanke, that's now its own broadening formation.
Yep.
Yeah. You got a shooter on the week as well. It tried to make a 2
And the
up.
day.
I wouldn't say it's a 2 up and fail, but it's looking pretty close to that. Same with on the daily, you got a two up, and it couldn't really, it wasn't one of the tickers that really got bought up at the end of the day, and so you
Hmm.
got a 222 rev or 222 rev to the downside on both the day and the week
Yeah.
to create a two down on the month if it you keeps going.
So I don't know if you played Cost, but I mean, I think it's partially just because of the price or whatever. It's like it's not moving, it's not moving, it's not moving, and then it's just suddenly boom, 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 boom because like all the money's in. So it's just if you're gonna do it, you've got your nice tight stops so you don't get caught. Either way.
Right.
Right on.
I'm sure everyone's got Tesla on their watch list, so I guess I'll just skip that one if it's not worth mentioning.
No, what are you talking about? We've got to spend some time on Tesla. Absolutely.
Right. I mean,
I
elephant
think.
in the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Tesla Shooter week is absolutely
Yep.
gorgeous. I love the fact that it took out this pivot here and dumped. Um, and apparently they've got some delivery numbers coming on Wednesday from somebody else's post that we saw. So I 17 drawings on Tesla. This is crazy. I love just getting rid of drawings on charts sometimes. Anyway, I
Mm-hmm.
like this to the downside. I want to see it puke.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So on a shorter term
Yeah.
time frame, I'm not really seeing much in the way of actionable signals. So what I might end up doing is just playing this with the weekly continuity, just see how that goes. And if it starts red and we get one of these wickless candles, then, away we go. But I'd like to see it stay below this inside day low.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah. Um,
That's the first target. I'm really sorry that like it came so close already, but that's how that goes.
I'd say with Tesla, it's one of those tickers that really just moves.
Yeah.
But when I look at all the time frames, I'm very conflicted. So like for example, in the day you've got maybe a 122 to the upside, but then you look at the week and you're like, oh, that's a huge big um, shooter, and you think 122 to the downside, and then you move over to the month and you're like, oh, 2-1, but it looks like it's very close to you know going up and making it 2-2 possible to the upside. So for me, like I said, I think with everyone, it's just gonna be a wait and see. It could easily like trigger two down on the week, but then we all know Tesla can easily create a three and go right back up and knock everyone out.
I think those pivots are really important with Tesla. So that's like, I mean, you might have a longer term time frame, like let's say just on the week hitting the low of June 9th, which is 281. Boy, that's way away. But I like I'll totally if I go south on this week at 314.74, which is 2 weeks ago low, there's gonna be a stutter, right? It'll come back and right. So like you just have to kind of recognize that. I think at least
Yeah.
that's what it seems to happen. So these
Also
pivot
that
points
gap
are really
again
important.
too. Yeah.
Oh, that gap I'm salivating over is 309.83.
Yeah.
Could easily just we could just gap down and then go back up too. I don't know. This thing can just jump up and down.
Oh, you can make so much money on this thing. It's just that's I love it. It's
Well, the cool thing with this gap too
leapfrogged into.
is when you see how it's just tucked underneath these daily pivots for a like we got one of the pivots on the PMG to the downside, but there's
Mm-hmm.
still these ones down here, right? That are
Yep,
stacked and ready to go. So
absolutely.
these guys here.
Got a couple of tickers.
All right, go for it.
Well, actually, well, I think there's two that are identical, Delta and American Airlines.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at it as a sort of quarterly move, really.
To the upside, looks like to me. Like you have this obvious broadening formation on the delta on the week. Looks like it wants to take it back up, and if it does, it could make a 2-1-2 on the month, and then let's
Blue Marine, is there a
see what it looks
chance you
like.
can get closer to your mic? Your volumes are really low.
Yeah. Let me
That's
see
better.
what I can
That's
do here.
better. I like your analysis on this.
Yeah. So like I was saying before, obvious broadening formation on the week. Looks like it just took out the lows. It looks like it wants to continue going higher. And then if it does, we could create like a 2-1-2 up on the month. And if that occurs, we could maybe go 3-2 down, 2 up, a 3-2-2 rev on the quarter as well. So,
Three
but it
two
looks
two on
like
the
on the
quarter.
day,
Yep.
yep. Now on the daily, um, don't know if there's much actionable signals on the daily. So, I mean,
Got an inside 4 hour.
oh yeah.
Use that as a trigger potentially. I will throw an alert on that. So that was Delta, and American Airlines is obviously a very similar pattern.
Um, I also had two that were very similar, and that was Visa and Mastercard.
Inside week up. Outside month already, which is fine. You're reclaiming the lows of the previous month. So that's cool. Um, yeah, I like this. Good PMGs up here on the daily. Up into a gap. Giddy up.
I'll give you guys another double inside month. Uh, LLY, Eli Lilly.
The spreads on this one are terrible.
Yeah.
I got burned on it a couple times, so it's on my do not trade list, but we can chart it.
Okay. It's good to know then. Maybe I'll take it off my list too. I didn't know. I didn't realize about the spreads. I
The
didn't check.
spreads are awful on this thing. BA for the airlines.
Wow, BA. That's crazy. What happened? Wow.
So it's a mix of defense plus, I don't know. I mean, it actually does trade in that ETF DFEN. But yeah, I've traded this one and actually done pretty well with it. I didn't realize the day that it had on Friday, the holy manoli. Look at this thing.
It filled the gap on the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it also looks like it wants to pop open, maybe expand the broad information to
It's
the
cool how
upside.
these broadening formations work, right? Like I've had this lower line on the daily since back here, comes down, wicks it, and then we get this, rounding bottom pattern and then launches up. So it'll be interesting to see sort of what continuity we have. We're still inside this mother bar on the weekly, but 312, maybe it has the compound effect and comes up to 218.80.
Yeah, this is one where I'd say like, it's probably popping up on a lot of people's radars, and then people are excited like Monday. Oh, I want to get in on this. But this is probably one I'd say don't chase.
Yeah.
And then anytime you see big movement like this, and you do want to participate, I would say look for, go to a lower time frame, look for an actionable signal.
Yeah.
Um,
Wait for the
so
TTO.
this one's one. Yep, exactly. Be patient. Look for a setup on the day.
Yeah, oil is an interesting, like that's a good point, Cardillion. Let's look at crude futures, right? Like these. So, you know, on one hand, I'm seeing that the real economy is obviously not doing too good. And so this 3-2 expansion on the quarter was, I thought, gonna start drilling down into here, no pun intended, but outside week, um, outside day, I I think over the next year, I think oil is gonna drop, but I'm willing to be proven wrong on that.
I can't stand trading oil.
Yeah,
It's just, I don't know, the moves, I don't like them. They're just very strange.
Yeah, it's not for beginners.
No, I don't like it. And I gotta say, with the VA, as good as it looks, I mean, that for me is a scalp. And I mean that, like, I hardly ever do that because what? Because 2 seconds after you get in, there's, something goes off the runway. And it's not even a Boeing jet that it doesn't matter. Like, Boeing has to, pay the price. So maybe it's too newsy, as they say.
yeah.
There was a ticker that showed up on my watch list for oil. It's TRGP, but I don't really know enough about oil in that sector. It's kind of like one of those things I throw in the pharma stocks category where I just don't know too much about how to trade them. But that was one that was on my
What
list.
was the ticker?
TRGP, Targa Resources.
So inside month up in force. The week is hammer. Yeah, I've never traded this one. I have no idea what it looks like. Um, Actually, Ali Trader had a bunch of tickers I captured. He posted them and I threw them down and I
Oh,
thought,
Adobe's on my list for inside. Yep.
yeah, Adobe's a good one. He pointed out KE Holdings inside week. That one looks okay. Rivian, I've never traded this one well, but inside week, red month, inside month. I think it's still a bit early for this one. Fastly, which one? Oh, Coke. I saw this one here was interesting. Double inside month, inside week. Sorry, 3-1 month, inside week. So not terrible. Um,
No, it's inside, still inside.
yeah. So I think this does have some potential, start reclaiming these lows here. And then there's some targets up to the top here. So I don't I don't mind that one at all. In fact, I'm going to borrow that level and turn that into an alert. Lennar, this one's too choppy for me. Constellation Brands, this one's red. Oh, look at this one. It hit exhaustion risk on
Yeah,
the downside.
I had Constellation as well on my list, but it's not one I brought up just because I feel like it's just kind of yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, his end phase, that's cool. I had FSLR, but they're both solar, I guess.
yep.
See that one on
PG.
the week, you think maybe it could go back up, but then when you zoom out, right, you're looking at the month and the quarter, you're like, is that just going to be another kind of fake out?
I don't know. This one here, I've tried to trade this before, and it just keeps grinding lower and lower and lower. And in terms of options, this is a very difficult ticker to trade.
Check out FSLR though.
Yeah,
I think that one's a little bit different. Yeah.
This one here, PG's double inside month. That's a good look. Look at that. Inside year though. I'll throw an alert on this just because I don't want to lose it. FSLR. So inside month, red, inside week, green. And there's a broadening formation on the daily. You can see that one's pretty nice. Right? Gap fill above still.
That gap fill too. Yep.
Yep. Cool. Cool. Right on. Okay, I'm not going to have a heck of a lot more time today, but if anybody else has any tickers they want to throw down, we can harvest them, and I'll get a list. I'll put this list onto the group chat, and no, can't hear you, Mike.
Mike.
Say something. I think Discord's audio is kind of crappy. Everybody's voice sounded crackly. So if you're watching the video of this, I hope you've had the patience to.
How about APP? AppLovin.
Oh yeah, that was on my list for last week too. Yeah, I tried to play this 2-2 day up and then got stuffed on this outside day. But yeah, I can see this coming back to the downside now. Fill the gap.
Yep, go 2 down on the month.
Yep. Would I play this on the 2-2 day to trigger the continuation on the month, or on the week rather? I don't know. I'll put the alert on the continuation. I don't mind playing continuations. I know that it's not good form, but anyway. MGM. No, we did not. Look at this. 2-2-2. 3-2 on the day. Inside month still. Look at this one. Look at this one. A nice broadening formation here on the daily. Took out those lows. So we're looking at a 2-2-2 week back up. Targeting up to here. And then ultimately.
Might make a 2-on-2 on the month if it doesn't trigger the month.
Yeah. With this PMG here, this is sexy. Look at that. That'd be cool.
Yep.
Start digging into that. What I really like is when you get PMGs like this that are hidden behind another pivot, right? So if you've got this pivot here, all these guys who have their stops on this PMG are hiding behind this pivot. As soon as this pivot goes, these guys are going to start sweating.
This is fine.
Yes, sir.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank God. It was cooking me. I was like talking for like 2 minutes, on and off, and no one could hear me. MGM. I think Ollie Trader had said something about it. And I checked it out. It's cool because of the quarter too. The quarter's a 2 down green.
Yep.
With PMD, if that works, it's going to reclaim the 3.
Yep.
I also like Elf. I can't trade that, but anybody who can trade it. Be all
Yeah,
that.
we talked about Elf in the beginning. That was really good.
Yeah, that's a good looking chart too.
Yeah. Well, I think I didn't have much on my list. I think I also had FSLY. You guys talked about that.
You guys look at like these new IPO stuff, like Chime, for example. CHYM.
FSLY, we got the inside week, inside day. Mike, what direction are you thinking on this one?
I have to look at the charts on
All right.
my actual phone because
All good.
it's not super clear on stream. What is this FSLY? Y or R?
Did you say FSLR or did you say FSLY?
FSLY.
Oh, okay.
Fastly.
I got this going. Look at the year. Ooh, this is a weird one. But I would have to go on a not on a limb. I don't want to go on a limb. Yikes! This is not really the
If
prettiest.
it's not obvious, it's not worth it.
Conflicted.
Yeah, I would say this is not obvious at all. It's weird
Yeah.
because it looked good at first, and then I looked at the month and it's a 2-up red, and then a year still not in force, but it's still 3-2 down red. Yeah, it's an ugly chart. Honestly, it's not even worth trading.
Less than $10 too, so it's not on my list.
Yeah, it's definitely not a great one.
Cool.
Hi, could I ask a really quick question just to clarify?
Absolutely.
For a failed, this is not about a chart, but for a bona fide failed 2 down, does that candle have to be green or can it be red and it just needs to close above the previous wick?
Good question. Good question.
Because I've heard both sides. Some are saying it has to be green in order for it to be a bona fide.
You got to look at it. An example. It's too abstract, right? So you say, look at this chart, and then you see what happened next. Otherwise, we're just blabbing, right? So.
Like just look at this one here as an example on the Fastly chart here. So I would say,
Or like a vice versa for a, I don't know if this actually one has
failed
it, for like
2 up.
a 2 up. Yeah, for like a failed 2 up, does it have to be a red candle or does it matter? Just as long as that failed 2 closes in a failed 2 up scenario, it closes below the previous candle's wick.
Yeah. It depends on how aggressive you want
Or
to
can
be,
it be
right? Like if you think of if it's failed 2 up but green, so essentially what you're saying then is it's not in force anymore, right? So here, let me see if I can quickly do a.
Even on the FSLY, you can see this. So just click over to a couple. Okay, so look at December and the month of December. You see that?
Let me get there. This guy. Nope.
Yeah. So you see that? December is a quote shooter. Okay.
Oh,
Except it's a
here.
green shooter.
Yeah.
December, right? And what happens next? Right? Does it go down? No, it didn't go down. It went up. It didn't do that. But I'm just saying, like the close is very very important. I think.
Yeah, I think
Yes, the close is very important on higher time frames. So like for example, on a month, like we would say definitively on a month or maybe even a week that if you go up, a failed 2 up should be red. Now, if you're like looking at lower time frames, like a 5 minute, 10 minute, 30, even sometimes 60, um, it's not as clear. But I would say when you're looking at a higher time frame and you obviously see a 2 up that's red, that is a clear sign. But a 2 up that's still green, that's a little bit less definitive, especially especially on a higher time frame.
So
Um,
I found an example of one here. You see on the weekly
Okay.
on Fastly, there's a 2 down, but
Mm-hmm.
it's no longer below the wick. It's closed.
Oh, which date?
It's the week of March 3rd. It's a weekly candle,
Okay. All right, I see it. I see it. Okay.
right?
yeah, but one could say that it's
So
not
this
exactly
this is
failed.
still a 2 down directional. It's not in force anymore, right? So for me, a failed 2
Yeah.
has to be. I like seeing it reclaim the low of the previous wick, like previous lows, and then change the color to green. That's the way I think about it. Otherwise, it's just a 2 down, no longer in force. I don't really think of it as a failed 2.
Yeah, I'm with Samaki on this one. I think the same as long as it doesn't close below the trigger of the previous candle. I think it's failed. But more importantly, you can't trade it until it triggers the other way anyway. So even if it's a hammer or a shooter and it's green, you can't take a shooter until it triggers. So
Yeah, and
the most important thing too is don't touch that trade until it triggers. Okay, okay.
Because I
So
mean,
that's kind of like reverse. Okay.
well, we could say definitively that a 2 down in green is a failed, but it's not certain that a 2 down that close above the trigger in that
yeah,
case is, because it can easily go 2 down again on the next candle,
sure it could.
right?
Sure it could. This is a failed 2 down, right? This green here, but this is not a failed 2 down.
Okay.
Yeah, Tom's talking about in the chat too.
Yeah, Tom.
But it's really the next candle that tells you that it failed or it didn't fail, right? That's what you guys are saying. Like it's
Yeah,
gotta be actionable.
yeah,
So that's it. No trigger, no trade. That's
yep.
So there's
yeah.
failing candles, and then
That's legit.
there's a failed candle. That makes sense.
Mike,
As
what
soon
do you
as you
think?
get a flip on a 2 down that goes green, that's failed. It may go back to red and just be a regular 2 down, and you don't know for sure until it closes. But a 2 down that is green is a currently failing 2 down. A 2 up that is red is a failed 2 up. Now, can that change before the candle closes? Sure. We don't know until the candle actually closes. But I trade those continuity flips. As soon as the 2 down goes green, I will start to look for longs. As soon as the 2 up is red, I start to look for failing 2 up.
Okay, so in like this case scenario, then Fastly, how it closed green, but the next candle ends up being just a 1 bar. It's red 1 bar. So then we would still have to wait again to see where it breaks, and then
Yeah, I mean, you're just stuck inside, so there's nothing to trade there until it either breaks the previous high or you get continuation to the downside. But yeah, you would wait for the inside bar to close and then trade the break.
gotcha,
For
gotcha.
me.
And so,
Yeah.
okay, and that's what I've been saying. So then if it breaks to the upside, then high probability it's going to continue going up. Is that how
It could. It could.
Yeah, which I mean, it didn't do. If you look, it broke the low and then went outside bar. So
And if you think of
But
this
it
as
potentially could have been, okay.
right, if you think of this as the range of whatever that is, it tried to take it down and it doesn't go. You get an inside bar, and then you get a reclaim of that inside bar that goes failed 2 going 3 on this bar here, right? And then you get this. So
So what would be the actionable signal for this part here then?
Depends on what time frame you're trading on. Because
if you're talking about this chart, like for me, I would trade the inside bar breakdown, but as soon as that fails to get any follow through and flips green, I'm out of that trade, looking for a potential outside bar.
right,
Okay.
yeah, if you're trading it on the week, exactly. But like for example, look at Fastly, and when it first goes 2 down and turns green, you could go on the daily and trade that too as well. But just something to note too, like for example, if you're thinking it's going to go 2 down, right, and it turns green on you, that's an obvious place to set your stop or at least get out of the position for sure as well. Or, if it goes above
That's a big red flag.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
right on.
That's like the side lesson I wanted to add in that, hey, if you want to take that trade down, and as soon as it goes against you, it goes in the opposite direction, changes the daily or the weekly continuity, get out.
Cool. All right, gang, I got to run, but obviously you guys are more than welcome to do what you need to do here. If people want to share some charts, I got to go take off to a family thing. I will post the recording of this as soon as I get it uploaded. Catch you all during the week. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks,
See ya.
Alongi.